Hello and welcome to the introduction before the introduction. We're going to look at how I store and manage these wonderful files to play on my Disklavier. But before we start, many people ask which pianos, which models of Disklavier can actually play these files. The answer is if you have a Mark III, if you have a Mark IV, if you have an E3, if you have an Inspire, or if you have any piano which has been upgraded with either a DKC 800 or a DKC 850 controller, then the answer is yes. I also understand from Richie Hayes that it's also possible to upgrade a Mark 1, possibly using a discarded Mark 3 controller. But if you go back to the Facebook page, the Disklavier Facebook page, I'm sure you'll get all your questions answered. So let's get rid of my ugly face. And when you start this journey, it will begin with the arrival via mail big file here of a zip folder containing an album or whatever music you have ordered from Andrew. So obviously download this, and to be honest, I would just dump this onto your desktop. So this is the zip file. It's going to be a similar thing whether you're using Apple or Windows. So we just need to extract everything out of the zip file. I'm going to call it the same thing. Extract everything. It's appeared down here. It's going to take about 10 seconds to get all these files out, which we should do now. There they are. So we're now left with an ordinary file. This zip file, I'm going to pop it in the bin where I keep all my Disklavier stuff, but never ever delete anything out of there. And if I open this, you'll see it's a file within a file. I'm just going to take this and put it over there and get rid of that one. So I've got a nice clean folder. If I open it up, many of you will be so tempted just to double click on the file and see what happens. Well, there you are. Lovely noise, you're going to hear a lot of that. But when you look at the file names, you'll see they're quite messy. Unfortunately, this is the way that the creation software that Andrew uses spits out the file names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to find a bulk renaming utility to save me having to change these files one at a time. And if I type that into Google, there's going to be lots of them. This is one that I use. You download it. It'll ask you a question whether you want it as an extension to Chrome or whatever. I say yes. There's nothing harmful in this software at all, assuming that you've downloaded it. If we highlight all of these files and I right-click on them, you'll see that I've now got this bulk rename here option that comes up. So I'll click it. And this is the software. It's a bit ugly, but it works really, really well. Here's the old names, and over here will be the new names. So I'm just going to go to the remove bit, and I'm going to say, please remove the first 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see what's happening up top. I'm just trimming off the fronts. So all the way off, even there. That's how I want to see them. I'm just going to hit rename, say OK. And get rid of that. Look at that. And they're all clean. Now that I've got them clean, let's just close that. That's my folder. We're now going to use iTunes. If you haven't got iTunes, you don't have to use iTunes. It just happens to be the most popular media player on the planet, and I just find it's really, really easy to use, and it's free. It also has Apple AirPlay built in that we'll come on to later on for actually streaming all of this music to your piano. There are lots and lots and lots of tutorials on YouTube that will guide you through using YouTunes. It's very intuitive, but all of my music, absolutely everything, gets thrown into my iTunes, and from here I will make playlists from the music that I either download or buy or whatever. So it's fairly normal stuff. Here are all my playlist, John's playlist 1 and playlist 2, whatever it is. But you'll notice down the bottom there are a lot of playlists that I've created, and you probably can guess what they are. I've used the word piano as the first bit of the playlist. So let me just make a playlist for you, because we're going to put those Michael Bublé tracks into iTunes. Let me show you how I do it. So we just go File, New, make a new playlist, which has appeared down here somewhere. There it is. It's just called Playlist, and I'm going to give it a title, and I'm going to call it Piano, and then Mickey Bubbles, Michael Bublé. We shall call it that. So now I've got a playlist. If I click on it, there's obviously nothing in it. There's his Christmas album. I don't want to hear that. You're going to love that noise by the end of this tutorial. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of shrink that down a bit, chuck it out the way. I'm going to open my file. I'm going to highlight all of this lot, and then I'm just going to pick the whole lot up and dump it into iTunes. So get rid of that. I'm never going to need this again, so I'm going to dump it in my Disklavier bin. Bring this back center stage. I'm going to do things like change the view. I'm going to view these as songs rather than a playlist, and there they all are. Again, if I double click on them, I'll do it in a minute. Come on, press play, John. Gonna hate it. You're really gonna hate it by the end. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to add an artist, because all that the files contain are the track names. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to highlight all of that, and then I'm going to right mouse click. I'm going to go to a thing called Get Info. I'm going to put the artist in. There he is, Michael Bublé. The album I'm going to call It's. That'll do. And then if I just say OK, it's put the artist in and the album. I've got it down to a fine art now. I can do all of this in about 30 seconds flat per album, and then from here I can create other playlists. What have we got down here that you might have? So I've got let's have a look. There you are, the Piano Happy Mix. How about that? So in the Piano Happy Mix, I can just take tracks from anywhere, and I can highlight them, and I can just drag those files into the Happy, and make all of my playlists so that I can produce dinner party playlists. If I actually just set all this lot running all of my piano stuff running. It goes for about 6 weeks, I think, without stopping. So we are in iTunes. We've managed to find. Let's find where we put him. Where do we put you, Michael Bublé? There you are. And we can play from here. Let's pick up me and Mrs. Jones. It's horrible noise. You just hate it. The reason is that you're going to be hearing a computer play these files when, of course, it should be a piano playing these files. If I shrink this down, let's do a lightning history lesson while we've got your attention. Here's a MIDI file. It's a standard MIDI file. Look at the size of it. It's 480 bytes. It's nothing. It is a speck of dust. Most 99.99% of all media players, including your Windows one or your Apple ones or whatever it is you play music through, will play MIDI files, but it will play them by interpretation. That means if I double click on this, you get this. I've explained this in the document, but MIDI isn't music. MIDI is instructions for music. The happy birthday that you just heard was just my laptop interpreting the MIDI file. 99.9% of all music files that are out there today are going to be MP3s, which are perfectly normal, like these. So I'm sure you're all familiar with that. But the files that your piano likes to eat is actually these two joined together. And that is why when you play this, you get the horrible screechy noise that you can hear, and you also get the Elton John backing track. And your piano is very clever, because what it does is it takes that horrible screeching noise and it sends that to the keyboard, and it wiggles the keys up and down and plays your piano, and it takes the audio track and sends that to your speaker. So you get this incredible mix of original artist music and lovely piano accompaniment. So that is how I do it with iTunes. You will also notice this symbol. When you want to transmit this to your piano, those of you that have gone through this exercise with me and read the document will know that I make a big thing about getting it to work on a cable first before you start doing anything about streaming or using devices to transmit this music to your piano. Of course, getting you to do the cable really just proves that we've got it to work. So on this particular laptop, I plug one end of the cable into the headphone socket, the other end of the cable into my analog MIDI ports or my Omni in ports on the back of my piano, and I press play, and everything should work perfectly. I say should, but we've had a few interesting moments. People do odd things, turning on all the enhancements that you can use with all of these laptops or iPads, 3D effects and all. Just get rid of it all. Just concentrate on the purest possible playing that you can have. Also, people have had problems where the cable has been wired the wrong way round, so the left is right and the right is left, and all this. But we get there in the end, and we know that it these files play on all the pianos that I mentioned at the beginning. But these files, they are huge. We saw Happy Birthday, which is a MIDI file, and you saw it was 480 bytes. Here is an MP3 file, and that is 5.74 meg. It's an awful lot bigger than that. But here's the two combined together with all the sequencing for the piano, and it's 63.4. These files are very, very detailed. They have to be. So when you try and transmit a file of this size and this complexity over Bluetooth, it will fall apart. And lots of people say, oh yeah, I can do that. It's going to be really easy. And eventually they have to give up because it just doesn't work. But that doesn't mean that you can't do it, because if you go back to your iTunes and you look on if you connect your obviously you do all of your work here in iTunes on your laptop or on your computer. Then you plug in your iPad or your iPhone and you transfer everything that you want transferred onto that device. And if you want, it's that device that can connect to your piano. But you can connect the laptop directly, because all Apple devices come equipped with this thing. It's the AirPlay symbol. And when you click the AirPlay symbol, this is my house. It's where all the bits are. But look, I've got an AirPlay device that is tucked away under my piano. It's kind of like Bluetooth, except it has a lot more bandwidth, so it's a lot more able to handle the very large WAV files much better than Bluetooth could ever do. So my options at this point are, I could keep this laptop here. I could keep this cabled to my piano. Might be a bit awkward. I could have this laptop on my lap, and I could use my AirPlay device to go to the piano. I could transfer this to my laptop, which, if you look at your not laptop, my iPad. If you look at your iPad, you'll discover that it also has an AirPlay button. If you look at your phone, if it's an iPhone, then you'll discover that also has an AirPlay button. So I've got lots of options. One more option, which is fun, is you could keep everything on an old laptop. Any old laptop will do. And if you go to the iTunes store or the Android equivalent, you'll be able to download an app called iTunes Remote. And if you look at that remote, it actually allows you to use iTunes in exactly the way that I'm using it here with my mouse from your phone. So it's a remote control for your laptop or your computer. It's very, very clever, and it means you can sit on your armchair and go through your entire music collection. And pretty much play anything that you want. Nearly forgot. Why do I put the word piano? Well, it's pretty obvious, because that way I can instantly see all of the piano music on my iTunes. Some people I know have opened 2 accounts on iTunes, or two Apple accounts, one for their normal stuff and one completely dedicated to just the piano. You can do that if you want, but I just prefix everything with the word piano. It still puts them all in alphabetical order after the word piano, so don't sort of panic too much. But hopefully this has given you that lovely noise. Hate it. But of course the piano loves it. Good. Any questions, you know where to find me. Good luck and enjoy the music.